The 1990s was quite the time for, big comebacks. What once was old became new again. Like the music of the Doors, thanks to Oliver Stone's movie starring Val Kilmer. Like period films just like that. And, it was really starting to become big with movies that were based off old TV shows, movies that took place in a certain time. Let me clear my throat there. A lot of comebacks from the decades past. It came out in the 90s, after the whole grunge movement kind of faded. How's it going, old schoolers? You are kicking it old school with your host, Russell JS, and I am your host, Russell JS. Tonight, I'm going to put two of my favorite period movies up against one another. Both movies take place in the 70s, had rocking motion picture soundtracks with, great hard rock artists from that time period, and had characters that were very relatable too. What I'm going to put up against, like I said, these are two of my favorite movies. We have 1993's Dazed and Confused versus 1999's Detroit Rock City. And the thing about these movies, what I love watching movies like this is, I was born in the 70s. As a matter of fact, I was born in 1978. And I just like looking back. I like how they put on film, a fictional story about something that takes place in a different time. It gives us a chance to see, and sometimes they could be very authentic. I mean, they get as authentic as they possibly can. Try not to have any kind of flaws, like, say a movie takes place in 1974. Sometimes there are these movies that take place in that time where you'll find in the parking lot on the set in this movie, like, say, I don't know, maybe a 1989 Chevy van, or maybe, say, mistakenly you'll see a 1993 Ford Crown Vic. I mean, you never know, but sometimes these movies can get very authentic with the dress, the way they dress, the cars, the music, the settings, and, what was popular in that time. Both these movies did a spectacular job. Richard Linklater, he did an awesome job with Dazed and Confused, and Adam Rifkin did a good job with Detroit Rock City. But I'm going to go ahead and discuss these movies, what they are to me, and then I'm going to rate them, see which one's going to be better. Will it be Dazed and Confused? Or will it be Detroit Rock City? Or will I have to flip a coin to determine the fate? So without further ado, let's check these Wait, before I say that, wait. I also have to give you a heads up that this video is going to include spoilers. So if you have never seen either Dazed and Confused or Detroit Rock City, my suggestion is you go ahead and turn off this video, wait for a time, go ahead, get it out of your local public library. If there's a video store that's near you that's still open, go get these movies or stream these movies, whether Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming service you may have. I'm going to take a moment now, all those that have seen these movies, as a courtesy of those who did not see these movies, I'm going to take a moment now for them to shut off this video and either go down to the public library if they have DVDs available. If they don't have it available, they could get it on reserve from another library branch, or they can get it on Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming service people use. I'm going to take a moment right now for those people to shut off the video, so that way they can find a way to get these two movies, watch them, and then come back and watch the rest of the video. Okay, let's check these, without further ado, let's check these bad Oscars out, shall we? Now, here we go. Dazed and Confused. Dazed and Confused actually takes place in the year 1976. It's the last day of school in a town in Texas for a bunch of teenagers that want to go out and party to celebrate the last day of school. And basically, all these teenagers, they don't know what's going to happen because a lot of them are going to become seniors in the fall, which that means they'll be the class of 1977, which was the year before I was born. That was the year when Star Wars came out. And disco was starting to rear its ugly head, and punk rock would come out and clash against disco. Help rock clash against disco. But in this movie, there are relatable characters. You got the. And what's really cool about this movie, what I love about it is, you see all the different cliques of the high school all getting together to have a good time. The stoners, the jocks, the freshmen, the cheerleaders, all the different cliques all getting together to go out and party. And like I said, again, there's relatable characters. And they even have a guy that graduated long before these people even entered in high school. And he likes to hang out and check out all the younger girls and stuff because he knows he's getting older. And that's the whole point of this movie, taking place in the 70s. And I know the 70s was hard for teenagers in that time. You're getting older. It's the year is 1976, and in 4 more years, you'd go in the 80s. You're going to be in your 20s, and you're going to be out in the real world. They'll have graduated from college. A lot of the things that teenagers go through when they're contemplating life when they become seniors or when they graduate. And it had a rockin' soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack album to me kind of reminded me of one of those 1970s compilation albums of various artists. I mean, you got songs on there like Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. You got School's Out by Alice Cooper. Tush by ZZ Top. Slow Ride by Foghat. And Paranoid by Black Sabbath. And, Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner. And they do reference Kiss a lot, which this is going to be part of the subject too, because Kiss was in the 1990s, the reunion tour was one of the biggest comebacks of any older artist. I mean, the whole decade. I mean, Kiss was still, at that time, in the early 90s, Kiss was still putting out music. I mean, and they were still doing things, even though the original lineup wasn't together, doing the whole thing with makeup. But, Kiss was doing things, and I think Dazed and Confused pretty much helped Kiss reach that ultimate comeback where they gave us the reunion tour in 1996. And, this movie, Dazed and Confused, it centers around the main characters. It centers around is a guy that calls himself, his name's Randy Floyd, and he calls himself Pink, obviously. He must be a Pink Floyd fan. His last name is Floyd, so he just calls himself Pink. Pickford, who's the main party guy, and his girlfriend sells, the marijuana. They're part of the stoner crowd, along with Slater, who's like the big stoner of the school. You got, and Dawson, who is Pink's best friend and also, teammate on the high school football team. And they date the girls who are cheerleaders. And through it all, they're initiating the upcoming freshmen where the boys get paddled on the butt from all the freshman boys, and the girls, they go through a humiliating hazing where they get condiments dumped all over them and ran through a drive-through car wash to clean up. And two of the freshmen get to party with the seniors. And you got this one guy named O'Banion that people only tolerate, played awesomely by Ben Affleck, who would, who would become a really big star later on, would have a flourishing career. And also a longtime graduate named Wooderson that everybody hangs with, played by Matthew McConaughey, who, just like Affleck, will have a flourishing career. And these teenagers, they're getting the pressures because they're the popular kids in the school, so they're getting pressures from their teachers, the football coach on, priorities and everything, and all they want to do is have fun. They don't want to take their school life serious. They want to be kids. They want to have fun. They want to have a good time before the next summer when they're off to college. And, the movie ends with everybody just departing from the party and everything, the kegger party in some remote park. And it was filmed on location in Austin, Texas, which I believe was Richard Linklater's hometown. And he was a kid in the 70s, a teenager, and he was big into rock music and the bell bottoms and everything. And, like I said, a lot of people who were in that movie, some of them faded into obscurity, and some of them, they had careers in Hollywood that would flourish. And, it was probably the best movie of the early 1990s, right next to Wayne's World and Clerks. And the next one, its competitor, 1978's Detroit Rock City. 1999's Detroit Rock City. Set in the fall of 1978 in Cleveland, Ohio, four friends have a band that they rehearse in one kid's basement. They're diehard Kiss fans. All they want to do is see Kiss. And what happens is, this is kind of similar. I always like to say that this would be kind of similar, along with Wizard of Oz, it would be similar to such movies as I Want to Hold Your Hand, or Rock and Roll High School, or Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. Where you got like I Want to Hold Your Hand, where you got a few friends who are trying to sneak backstage to the Ed Sullivan Show to meet the Beatles when they do their first American appearance, which was on the Ed Sullivan Show. And these four friends, these four buddies, they're going through a hard time being, they're sophomores in high school. And what's cool is it takes place in the fall. I saw the prop Kiss concert ticket, and the date is for October 11th, 1978, which at that time I was, I was maybe about 2 or 3 months old at the time. So I never really, knew that Kiss existed. I didn't even have any thoughts. All I knew is I went through diaper changes and bottles, because I was a baby at the time. And it was my dad's 33rd birthday. And in this movie, it starts out, you see these four guys led by Eddie Furlong, as you all remember, the original John Connor from Terminator 2. They're a high school rock band that like to play Kiss songs. They're big fans of Kiss. All right, I'm going to break down the characters. You got Trip, who is not only that kind of like the Ace Frehley. They have a band called Mystery, and they want to be a Kiss-like band. And, each of the characters would kind of remind you of each original Kiss band member, except they like to smoke pot and play music, listen to Kiss, look at dirty magazines, do the things that teenagers aren't supposed to do, but they do anyway. But weren't we all that way when we were teenagers? The things we were told not to do. But these two Hawk, played by Eddie Furlong, leads Giuseppe Andrews, who plays Lex, Sam Huntington, who plays Jam, and I forgot Jimmy DeBello, who plays Trip. So these four friends, every night, they hang out in Lex's basement, where he has his bedroom, and they have a band together called Mystery. That's sort of they want it similar to Kiss, and they play Kiss songs when they rehearse. They haven't had a gig. They dream about it. And one of the things is Jam found some way for them to get Kiss tickets to a Kiss concert in Detroit, Michigan at Cobo Hall. And that's based around the fact that Kiss actually had a big concert in Cobo Hall in Detroit where they really gained their huge following in 1976, where parts of their first live album, Alive One, was recorded, but it was shot mainly in Canada. And here's the thing: it starts out Jam's mom is getting ready to read a book, listen to the Carpenters, and have a sip of wine. She is a devout Catholic. What she doesn't realize is her son mistakenly put his old copy of Love Gun, his vinyl copy of Love Gun, in the Carpenters record jacket. So she goes ahead, puts the album on the stereo. She's sitting there enjoying her glass of wine, and then boom, I Stole Your Love starts blaring out of the speakers of the stereo, and she splashes her wine all over. She's freaking out. She doesn't know what to do, trying to shut the stereo off. And then finally, the stereo shuts off by itself, and she cautiously pulls the needle off the record, pulls the record off the turntable to find out it's Kiss. Now, the thing is, back in the 70s and the 80s, there was a big satanic panic when it came to hard rock music. Like Black Sabbath, bands like Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult and Led Zeppelin, they were labeled as devil worshippers because of the whole mystique of them. And Kiss, because they wore the black and white makeup, the dark costumes, Gene Simmons spitting blood and breathing fire, parents groups considered Kiss, they said that Kiss, Kiss, stood for Knights in Satan's Service. And Jam's mother rushes over to Lex's house to go grab Jam. Go grab Jam. And she drags him out to the car yelling at him, oh, Kiss is Satan music, that's devil stuff. She throws the record in the trash. And then they go into the whole credit thing where they show all kinds of footage and archival footage of things that were big in the 70s. And then they go to the movie, and come to find out they can't find the Kiss tickets. And Jam took Tripp's jacket by accident, and the mother later on will find the Kiss tickets when she's doing laundry, makes a big stink about it at the school, sends Jam off to, you know, they go through all these obstacles. Yet Jam's mom, who is got a hatred for Kiss and all rock music because she thinks it's all the devil, and she thinks that her son is going down a dark path, kind of like Anakin Skywalker in a way. And they, they go through things like they gotta spike the priest's pizza with weed, so he gets high. It's a distraction, so they can break him out of Catholic boarding school, and they make their way to Detroit. It's like the Wizard of Oz, and they get hassled by Disco Guidos and their girlfriends in a gold Trans Am, which they defeat them, and then they go through all these things like, Tripp called and won a radio giveaway for front row tickets and backstage passes for Kiss. And, all kinds of obstacles, all kinds of craziness goes on. Jam unfortunately reunites with his mother in front of the concert. She's holding a anti-Kiss rally with a bunch of other religious rights fanatic mothers like they did back in the 70s and 80s. And they go through all this stuff like love and, they, all kinds of things, where the boys become men. And then they miraculously get into the Kiss concert. And that's how the movie ends. And the funny thing is, the original Kiss, the real life original lineup of Kiss, play themselves in 1978. They have a replica of the Love Gun stage and everything. And it's real good. Both these movies are real good coming of age. Detroit Rock City, other than a lot of Kiss songs, Detroit Rock City has also got a good rockin', movie soundtrack with, you got newer bands, from the time that are actually doing covers of classic 70s hard rock, like Pantera does a rendition of Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent. Marilyn Manson does a really terrible version of Highway to Hell by AC/DC. And Everclear does a cover, The Boys Are Back in Town. The Donnas do Strutter. Both these movies are really great viewing. I mean, they have wonderful characters that are relatable, you know, things that we always dreamt about, you know. And like one of the things I missed about talking about Dazed and Confused, when I said something about all the cliques getting together and hanging out with each other. It's funny, when I went to high school in the 1990s, all the cliques separated from each other. You had the rockers like me, the headbangers, the stoners, the rednecks, the preppies, the wannabe rappers, and the jocks, and the more popular. I mean, we only had maybe one or two friends out of each of those groups. I mean, the 90s was a weird time, and, watching movies like this, to me, I think of it as why can't things be like that in real life, Where like we live in times where people we're all against each other, like religiously and politically and financially. We don't have anything to do with each other based on our finances, based on our political agendas or our religious beliefs. It's just sad. And then you watch movies like Detroit Rock City and Dazed and Confused, and they're like really good. They're very funny movies, and they're very good feel good movies too. Now comes the part, because here's the thing. This is a versus video. And God, I love both these movies. But I'm having a hard time deciding which is better than the other. I mean, Dazed and Confused and Detroit Rock City. And I love both. They're two of my favorite movies from that time, from the 90s. So, I got to flip a coin to make a decision on this. Heads for Dazed and Confused, and tails for Detroit Rock City. Here we go. Alright, that wasn't a good toss. I don't have any quarters on me right now, so I got to use a penny. Yay. Pennies don't make good for anything. Pennies are useless these days unless you got 1,000 of them. Here we go. Heads, Dazed and Confused. Tails, Detroit Rock City. I let it land on the bed, and it landed on tails. So Detroit Rock City wins this. Now, I know it's been a while since I've put out any content, and I'm working on putting on content not only for the weekly narc, but for Kicking It Old School, because when I get to the 100th video for Kicking It Old School, I want to make it something special, and it will be. I've got to tally up how many Kicking It Old School videos I have so far. But that's going to do it for this video. And remember, if you're new to this channel, is this your first time watching, feel free to hit a like, feel free to subscribe, and feel free to comment down in the box below. And tell all your friends about, if they're into old school stuff like you are and I am. Tell your friends about the channel. Let's help build this channel together. And if you're a victim who suffers or has suffered from narcissistic abuse, also check out on this channel, on the Russell JS channel, check out the Weekly Narc with Russell JS as well, where I talk about my experiences dealing with narcissistic people and what I went through and how I survived and how I do survive. How I survive mentally from it. And, leave comments. And remember, this will do it for now. I'm going to have some more videos coming up soon. And, your old pal Russell JS always reminds you, stay chill, stay real, be authentic, be you, get you enough of anything, get you enough of love, get you enough of peace of mind, get you enough of less drama, get you enough of anything you desire in life. And don't be afraid to try new things. And, keep it real, keep it keep it fresh, keep it chill. A lot of other things I say, but most of all, take care of yourself and your families, all the people you care about, you love, your friends and families. And as usual, I'm going to wish you all Godspeed. May the force be with you always.